Good evening. Happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of the Opening Kick. We have a very exciting and special episode for you tonight. As always, I got my man, the legend over here, Gerald Smoke Dixon. What is up? How you doing this Monday?
Man, I thought you was talking about the guy on my right. So I thought you was talking about Marcel.
I'm not talking about Darius. I'm talking about the one that kept him in line while y'all were in Buffalo.
Oh, then that was Marcel too. But no, I'm doing well. It's Monday.
Nice.
Beginning of the week in some countries, the end of the week in some planets. So
there you go. Wherever we are in the universe, wherever you are in the universe, we're just glad you're here with us on this Monday. So hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Twitter X, come over to YouTube, to the Bama Standard, hit that like, hit that subscribe so you can get all the content coming to you this week. And as I said, we have a very special show for you tonight. Several good topics. We're going to start off with the Jalen Milroe hand mystery. How can a man's hands grow in 1 month? Smoke's going to break it down for you. Then we're going to get into the Combine. Who were the surprises? Who were the disappointments? Who really stood out and caught our man Smoke's eyes, my eyes? Who may have caught some NFL GM's eyes? And then we got a very special guest from the network coming on. Our man Marvin Constant will be on later tonight with Smoke and me to talk about the top 5 linebackers in Alabama history. So don't get your popcorn ready. Don't leave your seat. Stay tuned because we have a jam-packed show that's going to be awesome tonight. We got Marvin coming on later. So stick with us. Hit that like and subscribe. But before we get going, let's give a little bit of love to the people that keep the lights on for us, and that is One Lamstone Company at realrockstone.com. If you're building that dream home, you've inevitably seen those homes with that beautiful natural stone and said, I want that on my house. Well, now's the time. Go to realrockstone.com. They are located in Aniana, Alabama, and we're one of the oldest, most trusted sources in the state. Tell them we sent you by using the promo code the Bama Standard and receive 10% off your purchase of stone. Check them out today and get that stone for your house. We appreciate you. Real Rock. Speaking of real, when you hear numbers come out, Smoke, you think those numbers are real. Well, numbers came out. And man, it's funny. There's so many things. I hope everybody pays attention to our show because, man, they like to get on the things you say, Smoke, and give you a hard time sometimes. But if they're paying attention, you're ahead of the game. Look, you were ahead of the spring ball. You were telling Jalen before his Senior Bowl, hey, buddy, watch out. And then you were talking hand sizes, which really got our crowd into it one night. And then he gets to the Senior Bowl, and the hand size comes out, and it was a knock. You know, it's supposed to 9 inches is the golden number for a quarterback's hands, and his were a little short. Well, then he shows up at the Combine, and like a magic trick, his hand's grown. I don't think that's the case, Smoke. Can you give some insight to what the hell is going on with Jalen Milroe's hands?
Yeah, just a simple mistake of one scout's missing their mark on their measurement. So when you do the hand test, what you're supposed to do is measure from the tip of your thumb to the tip of your pinky. Now, there's some ways that you can help yourself by stretching it, right? So my thumb actually faces down when I stretch it. So I am about exactly 9 1/4 of a hand. Now, when you talk about guys that got gigantars, now you're trying to go into tens. The biggest hand, what's the largest hand size? What's my man name that played outside linebacker from South Georgia, drafted by the Jets in the 3rd round? Last name Jenkins. I can't remember his first name. He was outside linebacker to play for Georgia. Jenkins is like 2012. He had like 11 in like 5/8, like monster hand. Slap you, your whole face would get twisted off. But the important part of the hand measurement for a quarterback is just so they can, that they can manipulate and hold the ball in inclement weather. Like those tiny 8-inch hands that they said Jalen Milroe had, those were concerning. Now he shows up to the Combine, and another scout measures him. They get a different measurement, which is close to, the guy was an inch short. Whoever was measuring it.
That's a huge difference.
One is so huge that you're so concerned that you're thinking about, can he play in inclement weather? And the reason for his fumbles, was it because of his hand size, or was his lack of understanding of just ball control and ball discipline and just making sure that he can get rid of the ball or hold on to the ball when he's supposed to? But I've always known for him to have big, strong hands or big enough hands. His hand size is about the same as Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of it, like I said now, is the strength of your hands when they're over 9 inches. So put away the scare of having surgeon hands for Jalen Milroe. He has regular size hands, slightly above average, and he can manipulate the ball and get it where he's supposed to. But like I said, this young man has gotten more hiccups in a calendar year than anybody, just because I don't know. I don't know if he's caused that for himself or just, something that he's going to have to pull through for himself. And I know everyone's going to say I'm a Jalen Milroe homer. I'm not. I just want to see everybody get a fair chance throughout the process. And he has to figure out what he needs to do now. Now, like I said, if I was representing him, he'll go to Senior Bowl just to hang out and interview. If he was going to the Combine, he's going to test and was going to do zero field activities in terms of throwing the football. Because I believe his strength is in his testing numbers. And it's the same thing as Anthony Richardson. Those guys, when they test, they're going to get that wow factor. Mm-hmm. He's going to run something close to a 4.4, maybe even pop a 4.3. And then when he jumps, he might be close to a 38-40. Broad jump, 10-something plus. All those numbers are exceptional for an athletic quarterback. And then once you get back down on his pro day to Alabama, now you get his receivers and you control the throwing sessions, and you don't let the scouts do that for you. But at the Combine, it's outside of your control.
Yeah. You do what Tough as Nail says. Tom Brady just took the air out of the ball. Problem solved. Doesn't matter your hand size. Just cheat.
Listen, every quarterback manipulates the ball at some point. Tom was the only one that got caught. They need to stop that. Stop.
I think you made a good.
Already.
I think you've been labeled both this year, Smoke, as a Milroe hater and a homer, just depending on what episode someone caught and what you were talking about at that time, which, a lot of times criticism is now deemed hating. And I've been deemed a Milroe hater, but I'm for the underdog story too, or that when people start getting doubted. That's why we love sports, when people get doubted.
Yeah, Pettey, I ain't gonna lie to you. You can't be a 4-star prospect, starting quarterback out of Alabama, have an opportunity to get drafted in the NFL, and you're not going to run that underdog story by me.
Well, he found
you've been above average and great from this point on. Knock it off. You just got to go through this. Go ahead.
Blank, man, and now now everybody's naysaying, man.
Yeah, I think that whole length, that's not my thing. That's he and T. Arnold's deal. I don't know what the naysayers are saying, but it's hard to say a kid that scholarship athlete and a starter at the University of Alabama, and at one point was pegged to be one of the top quarterbacks to be drafted this year, and he's still going to be one of the top 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks that drafted this year, is an underdog story. I think that's just something that you drum up, that if that's what you want to use to make yourself look good or have some type of chip on your shoulder, go right ahead. But, man, you're blessed if you're in that position. And I've heard him speak earlier on the podium, was it 2 days ago? Mm-hmm. And, man, you're blown away by him and who he is and how he represents himself. He never comes across saying, whoa, it's me. It's just something that he's going to have to deal with. I think his mental toughness is going to separate him at some point, but he's going to have to start making better decisions in terms of how he wants the NFL world to perceive him as a quarterback.
And I think you made a good point there, Smoke, about how the interview process, he blew it away. Well, man, he's hit snags. He hit snags at the Senior Bowl. People started questioning him after the Oklahoma game. Me and you kind of talked about it, and you mentioned it. We felt like the Combine was the place he could make him go and improve his stock. And I feel like that is somewhere where Milroe's dynamic. He is great behind the mic. He was always good answering questions to the media. I felt like he was going to thrive there. Give us your thought, man. Talk a little. Did he improve himself? What was your takeaway from Milroe at the Combine this week?
Milroe's never going to wow anybody in a live throwing session where he has to throw to targets that are either still or moving, because that's not where he separates himself. It's just when the plays are broken down and it's sheer athleticism, and you're not going to get that until you get to real live game situations. And that's where the testing portion of it could help him, to where now I'm running fast, I'm jumping high, and I'm jumping far in terms of broad jump. And even if you wanted to lift, I mean, look at him. He looks like a physical specimen. Throw it up 20-something times if you need to. But I wouldn't put a ball in his hand and tell him to throw at the Combine unless I knew that he was going to put on a show that was going to make him look great and not like, okay. It's all about timing and how you set yourself up in this process. And I don't think he's setting himself up for the big kill at the end. Like the big kill at the end is now you come out and you have your throwing session with your receivers at the Malmore facility. And you're controlling how many balls you're going to throw with you and your quarterback coach. But right now, I think you've allowed the world to see all your deficiencies, and now they're picking you apart. And contrary to all the beliefs, the NFL is not there for you to look good. They want to hammer you away as much as possible so they can get you at the best value on their dime. So the more you show that you're not good at, the less you're going to get paid, and the lower you're going to get drafted. So only show what you need to show when you need to show it. It's not your job to go show everything. It's their job to gather and collect information. You're making their job easy for them.
You've been preaching that, Smoke. Hey, and Tam, we'll get to that question. That's a good one on the rule change. I'm going to think about it. We'll get to that in the show, so stay with us. We will not forget that one. Brian Russell says his deep ball arm strength and overall athleticism are his best assets. And I believe you kind of echoed some of that, Smoke.
B. Russ, you're not off. He throws a very good deep ball. His athleticism is he's going to be the top in terms of that. But just think about this. 2 years ago, we had Anthony Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony started a handful of games, made a handful of throws. Didn't win as many big games, if any big games like Jalen Milroe. But he came out and he wowed everybody with his athleticism. And it got him drafted in the top 5. Everything that he did after that was, hey, I'm an unproven known commodity. I can be the next, put the end of it, ... And it's on you now to figure out who I am. And draft me 4th. And that's going to give me more time. But if he would have came out and did all of the quarterback workouts and all that, everyone would have looked at him like, oh, there's something off. If they spent some more time with him, they would have figured out that, this guy might tap out when he gets tired. Like, that's what he did. And that's a big no-no. And you sit down and talk to somebody for a longer period of time, they'll tell you exactly who they are. Instead of being wowed by their athleticism, again, I said the quarterback position, it's past how far you can throw the ball and how hard you can throw the ball and how fast you can run. A lot of it starts between the ears.
Great point, Smoke. Ephraim, great question. We will get to that at the end of the show, talking about the spring ball and fall camp. But right now we're going to hit a little bit because I want to get your thoughts on this, Smoke. Man, one of the most controversial topics is the quarterback class this year. I mean, there's 2 guys that have really separated themselves in Cam and Shedeur. And I know they're trying to attack Shedeur right now with his character because he's Deion's son. People get
He's a rich kid. He's a rich kid.
And if you don't,
no one loves the rich kid. They hate him. It's a rich kid. Name many rich kids that people love.
Nope.
It don't.
And here's the thing. I hate to break it to you. You want your quarterback to be a little bit sorry. That's what you want out of your quarterback.
Confident, but it all looks. It's all about who you believe and what they say. Is it confidence or is it cocky?
Yeah.
If it comes out of Shedeur's mouth, it might be this is arrogant. ... Right? If it comes out of Jackson Dart's mouth or Tyler Shaw's mouth, it's going to come out as, wow, this guy is a confident individual. It's all about who says it and what you want to believe and what you believe going into the conversation that's going to lead you to your next answer. And I'll say it again. Most people listen to respond, but the intelligent people listen to understand. So when somebody's talking to you, just don't take, oh my God, he's cocky. How do you know his story? Do you know the angle that he's coming from? Like, do more research instead of just responding to the first thing that you hear that you don't feel comfortable with.
Good Lord. What you just said was so much more profound than the words that just came. That's a lot deeper than people realize. Absolutely. The stories these guys come from mean so much more about the people they are. But again, there is no debate that it's going to be Cam first. Shedeur's probably going to go somewhere 5, 6, 7 rank. They're looking, Jets or where they're talking about maybe, I don't know, but he's top 10 pick. But then there's a drop off. Like you said, at one time, Milroe was looked at maybe the first quarterback taken. He's dropped off. But the consensus is there may not be another quarterback to the second round. And Quinn Ewers looked pretty good at the pro day, arm kind of lollipop. Will Howard had some moments they thought, but Dart So where is that next line? Is Dart the next guy? Is Milroe the next guy? Is Ewers the next guy? And is it the second round? Or is Dart are they gonna have that NFL panic and take Dart in the first round?
I don't think this year you have to have a panic for a guy that's going to be a project or developmental guy down the line. And I think that you might be sitting in the best situation taking the third guy because there's no added pressure on the organization or the player. So at the end of the day, it comes down to preference. What do you want out of the quarterback position? Do you want an athletic quarterback with a strong arm that's played at a high level against good competition? When he plays against really good competition, he plays his best. And I'm speaking about Jalen Milroe. Do you want an older guy like Tyler Shaw that bounced around, understands how to play football? Historically, he hasn't been like the top guy, but he understands how to play the position. Do you want to go with Jackson Dart, a guy that's been in the offense, that's put up a ton of yards, some good professional throws, gritty, better athlete than people think? That's another direction to go with. Or do you want to go with Quinn Ewers? The biggest knock on him is he's always injured, but he's played in an NFL type of offense. He understands how to function within an offense, but he has to have a lot of good players around him. So to me, I would put Quinn at the bottom of that, just because the best ability is availability. And if you're not available to play, what are you? Just like me and you, Pettey. Two guys sitting around hoping that we can get out there and throw it around. So it all depends on what you want. And that's kind of where that group is.
And that's fascinating. It seems like this would be the year if you were going to. And I know we always love to take that shot on the quarterback that's the hot guy, Cam Ward, coming out. But this may be the year to take the Abdul Carter at defensive end in the first round and then go after Dart, Howard.
Is it the year to take Abdul Carter that has a stress fracture in his foot?
Ooh.
So here's my must-haves with first rounders. You have to be clean character-wise. You have to be clean playing-wise. I mean, production has to line up with the athletic traits. Because in the first round, you have the most amount of time to get it right. So there's no need to reach. Because you don't want to go back to your boss, which is the owner, general manager, to say, hey, you know what? We're just taking a chance on this guy because we think, hold on, thinking a second or third. Like, we're not thinking in the first. This is a must. It's an understanding. The guy has to be clean. Drop him off day one. He's your starter at whatever position that you draft him in. Quarterback, he should be your day one guy. If it's clean and you have this much time, or have a plan for that quarterback. Offensive tackle or any other position, you line them up and say, okay, this is it. And we're working through the second contract because the first 5 years are golden because we understand what we have. You had 4 to 5 years to think about the person that you're about to draft. You can go back and watch every single play because it's $1 million bet that you're on. Franchise level player. Go back and run through every single interview. Do every single extensive background check on this person. Go back and talk to his kindergarten teacher if they're alive and find out who they are. Because this is the one that you have to get right. And if you can't get your first round draft pick right, you shouldn't have a job as a general manager. Fire yourself.
And they screw it up all the time. And that's a great segue into our next segment of because this was the time to do those interviews, to get the full background check that goes deeper than just watching what a kid can do with pads on. Before we hit that, though, and much love. Oh, sorry, you got it, Justin. And much love for the super chat, $4.99. We appreciate you being with us on this Monday night. If you got anything you want us to answer, Smoke, give it divine wisdom from our man over here. Ask it, But more than anything, we appreciate you being here on this Monday night, and we appreciate that super chat.
And you got a $5 question that you need to ask a $2 type of dude, man. You got to ask me. We'll give you $3 and change. Come on, man.
Well, Smoke, this was the time for these GMs, all these evaluators, the guys like you when you were at Buffalo, to really hit the grindstone in Indianapolis and ask these guys those questions. You talked about it last week. You know, the hard questions were going to be asked to Milroe. But let's get into it. Who were the surprises? Who stood out, not just on the field, who maybe did it off the field? Jihaad Campbell. You talked about Nick Emmanwori last week when I said every year there's a guy that shows up and we go like, damn, where'd that guy come from? And you said too last week of Emmanwori comes out, runs a 4.38, 43-inch vertical. I mean, 6'3", 220, just a freaking prototype. James Pearce, defensive end from Tennessee, coming in. You got a defensive end running a 4.4. It gets people's eyes. But then you hear some other stuff. So this is where I give you the floor, Smoke. Who are your surprises this week? Who stood out to you? Who you think helped themselves? Or do you really help yourselves in this environment?
So first and foremost, what I've always used and what I was taught by the guys that taught me well, Jim Monis, Doug Whaley, Kelvin Fisher, Mark Ross, guys that I sat down and listened to over the years that are my mentors on that side of the personnel game. The combine is used for confirmation in what you saw on tape. I would, if I had to put it in percentage, I would go 80% off tape, even 90% off tape. 2%. No, let's go 80% tape. Let's go 15% character interviews, and let's go 5% of what you do at the combine. Because, case in point, Jihaad Campbell, right? We'll just go through this one by one, and I'll let you read the names off. Jihaad Campbell. Right? You saw when he went up there, what did he run? A 4.5 and a high 4.4, 4.5?
Yeah,
somewhere in there?
It was like a 4.52, I believe.
Yeah, but that's what he played, right? You saw the jump, explosive numbers. That's how he played. You saw the way that he moved on the field in terms of his field work. That's how he played. So it's not like you had a guy that you went in the process with the question mark, like, I just don't know what his play speed is because he just doesn't look fast because he lacks instincts, lacks the ability to know where the ball is going and arrive there with violent intentions and really fast. You saw that on film. So when you went to the combine and he ran his 4.5, you just checked off and said, okay, cool. Exactly what I thought on film showed up here, checkbox. Character, when you sat down and you had interviews with him, coming out of the building, whatever there, and I'm only speaking hypothetically, that if he was a great kid, a football junkie, and then you go into a meeting and you're going through the good and bad, ugly cut up of who he is on film, and he tells you the truth of why didn't you see this guard pull? Well, if you say, no, well, if his coach told like, hey, listen, if he misses something, he's going to tell you straight up, coach. He'll just say, hey, listen, I missed that one. I missed the tackle. Why did you miss it? I just didn't run through him. I closed my eyes at the point of contact, and I lost him. He broke a tackle. Everything checked off of what you got out of the combine. Let's go to your next guy, my guy that was a testing freak.
Nick Emmanwori.
Yeah. You cut the film on, you see it. You see a big, violent player. Now, I loved him on tape as well, too. But when you go and you test that crazy, I'd want to see more, but I don't know if that was the defense, what the defense was asking him to do. Was he put in more positions in terms of playmaking, but with the plays that was in front of him, he made. You saw the explosiveness, you saw the speed on defense. And yes, you can walk away saying, am I going to take him? Am I going to take Malachi Starks? It's a real question now. Because prototype-wise, he's a one-off of what it's supposed to look like. And it's not like he was a complete slug when you turn the film on and you watch South Carolina. Now let's talk about James Pearce Jr.
Before we get to Pearce, though, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you get to that. Everything checked out. You see get off, violence, ability to bend, chase. You watch games, they had to put 2 on him at times, or else he would totally wreck your game. So you saw production that matched up with his athletic traits and his measurables and his test numbers at the combine. So all of those are confirmed. Confirmation, check. Good. All surprises and good. Now you get to a guy like Shamar Stewart. Right. That's the number 4 Texas A&M edge player, defensive end that went up there and 12-2. Go ahead and read off his numbers. Pettey.
Shamar was 6'5", 270, runs a 4.59, had a 10'11" broad jump. I mean, that's insane numbers from a human that size.
Right. He's up in the category of Mario Williams, Myles Garrett, what he talked about, testing, with his vertical, broad, and his 40 at 200 and darn near 70 pounds at 6'5". Now you go back and say, okay, does his production match what we saw at the Combine? Absolutely not. Right? Now, if you did your study in tapes, and when I say that his production, the sack numbers, he only had 2 sacks, 35 hurries. That's a ton of hurries. Now, when you hear all these hurries, you got to go back and study the stats. Were those mindless hurries where he was running upfield, lost control, and fell on the ground? Or was he beating the tackle and guard and making that quarterback step up in the pocket, allowing other defensive players to have impactful plays, sacks, quarterback hurries themselves, or just throws that cause turnovers? So you saw a guy on tape that was highly disruptive, but not highly productive. So I went back through it last night. I was having a conversation with my good friend Jamonis, that was a DPP for the Buffalo Bills when I was up there from 2014 to 2019. And I said, is there one guy that tested crazy, but production was just, and just wanting you to think more? And what did we do with that player? And the name that came up was Danielle Hunter. Defensive end. He's a Jamaican, so he's an avatar-looking character, chiseled up, tested out of the waters, but only had 1.5 sacks. Right? And we missed. Everyone in the NFL missed because he's one of the premier defensive ends in the NFL. Why? I don't think we all went back and studied his tape properly. We saw the production and said, oh my God, this guy's just a workout warrior. No, he can play. And again, football wasn't like the sport for him, so he was still learning along the process. Now we flip it, 9 years, and this is what we have. But this is when scouts have to go back and just make sure that they're not getting wowed by the numbers and making sure that the tape and the numbers match. So you can make that pick and say, you know what, I want him in the top 10 and walk away from it and feel good about it.
And a great example of that, I think, is one that, because people look at the record, didn't see him, but prior to the year, Mark Stoops always has a good defense. Kentucky's been an 8-win team, which is good for Kentucky, but they only won 2 or 3 this year, so you forgot what they had. But prior to the season, they were dotted on the All-SEC team with Deion Walker at defensive tackle. But the one, Maxwell Harrison, he gets out there and runs a 4.29. You go look at the film, and he was a shutdown on his side. Is that a kid that kind of disappears because of his team and then reignites himself on that stage when you see those numbers? I'm like, oh, yeah, this kid.
No, you know, the ordinary and average fan that just looks at it, oh my God, Kentucky, they got to be garbage. Or now we look at Alabama, their DBs are really good. No, that's where scouting and evaluators like make their way and make their hay by saying, okay, Maxwell is a problem, and I'm talking about sticky coverage ability. And UK is one of those schools that just check their draft history. They got some dudes there. They're like the Marylands of the world. They're like the Iowas of the world, where you say, man, these guys are just 8-win teams. But no, look what they're producing. You look at Maryland, Ty Felton, winner at the Combine. Winner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Vertical out the gym, 38.5, I believe. Broad jump, 10+. And this is a DMV kid out of Northern Virginia that he would have been one of the highly rated kids coming out, but he tore his ACL. So Mike Loxley and the University of Maryland, they take him because that's what we do in the DMV. We got athletes like that. I might know one myself over my left shoulder, right? That it takes time. But this is an interesting story I have to share for anybody that's out there that's listening, that's a young kid that wants the opportunity to be the guy. When I got there at Maryland in 2023, Ty Felton was probably the 5th receiver, right? Because we had Dante Demas, Copeland, Rakim Jarrett, Jayshon Jones, and then it was Ty Felton. Right? I remember when we played against Michigan, we put him at kickoff return. The ball bounces off his face mask, lands on the ground. You're laughing, but he'll be in the 2nd or 3rd round. Bounces off his face mask, goes on the ground. The kid was crushed. it was a close game against Michigan. I think we lose by a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And he's beating himself up. So over a period of time, I remember I'm in the building. I'm a late work. I was in there. Locks and I was knocking stuff out like 1 o'clock in the morning, just making sure that we got the roster right and making sure all the checks and balances came through. And you heard just a ball machine. And this is starting at 9 o'clock. So I'm like, all right, cool. Ty's in here just getting some extra catching. Didn't want anybody to know that's what he was doing. All right, you hear them, and it's still 11 o'clock. Hold on. I go over there and look at him. He has Leon Haunton with him. Still going, catching tennis balls now. Till about midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning. This kid's doing this for months upon months. So last year when he had that record year and up for the Biletnikoff trophy, yeah, because he put the work in. And for guys like that, you're just happy for to see him go through the process and knows that hard work and dedication, and he never put his head down when he was number 5 buried on the charts. He just became that player, and this is what you do as a player. Self-driven and understand what your why is and just prove others wrong.
I love those are the stories. Like these are the stories I hope still get told in this crazy era of football where fans are losing the love. There's still these stories out there where kids like that go in, put that extra work, and become success stories. And that's why we love this game. That's not lost on this. We've got a lot of good questions that are on deck that are about the combine that I would have wanted. I'm going to get to in the segment. Stay with us, Ann. I saw your questions, Ephraim. We're going to get to them after this. But we do have a special guest waiting on deck. We've got one more segment. We're going to get to him, get him out. Then we'll get to your questions before we roll out. However, before we do that, and I want to make sure I get this damn thing straight, before we bring in our special guest and talk about the top 5 linebackers in the history of Alabama, we got a huge basketball game coming up this week with the Florida Gators coming to Coleman. Do not go empty-handed. Go to whitwillsports.com today. Get that title towel.
Come on, turn it upside down. Turn it upside down.
Do not go empty-handed. Go check them out. whitwillsports.com. Promo code standard. Get 20% off so you don't go empty-handed, and let them Gators know what time it is in Coleman. Huge game this week, man. We're getting
big time game.
March Madness is here, and league play still going. So, puff, puff, pass, smoke. I don't think smoke does all that stuff. Without further ado, hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Twitter X, come over to the Bama Standard on YouTube. Hit that subscribe because we have a great week of shows coming. Marquise Mays coming, all kind of guests. But we got a special one right now who wants to talk a little bit about the position he played while he was here. The man, the myth, the man who made several folks in the local Tuscaloosa high school area quit playing football. All SEC linebacker. I don't know. He should do the Hulk Hogan. What's he got? 40-inch pythons.
Man.
All SEC. Marvin Constant. Welcome to the show, sir.
Mookie Love.
What's up, man? Hey, and FYI, all smoke passes gas. Let's just keep it clear for the record. He got virgin lungs, baby.
Oh, man. No doubt about it. They don't even know, Marvin.
If you have been paying attention to the show this offseason, we tried to have a little bit of fun. We've let my man Smoke come up with top 5 list from each position group, and we're going to keep this going in Alabama history. His last one got a little bit controversial when he started talking about DBs. Our man George Teague, Roman Harper took a little, they didn't like it so much. So they came on, we had a little talk about it and had to straighten
your chest, Pettey. Teague was pissed.
Teague was not happy he was not on the list. And I understand. I was with him. I'm on Teague's side on this one, Smoke. I love you, but I'm on Team Teague here.
Pettey, I got a call from my big bro, Sam Shade. Sam was at number 5. Shade said, you know what, Smoke? Respectfully, I'll take the honor of being in the top 5, but you gotta do better than that, man. You can't leave Teague off of there. So I listened to Big Bro, and then Marvin called everybody in Tuscaloosa and got the whole Tuscaloosa mob on me. So I was threatening I can't come back to Tuscaloosa to get any good Archibald wings, and told me I can't go to Dreamland. And, I'm already kicked out the Bryant-Denny Stadium, so I had to make it right.
I get in this.
I'll hang out with you, Smoke. I think I'm probably on that ban list now too until they bring the Denny Dog back. But look, if you've been paying attention to the history of Alabama, we've had a pretty good linebacker to walk through the halls wearing those crimson jerseys. So I have a feeling this list could get as controversial as Smoke's defensive back list. So, man, without further ado, and I've got mine tonight. I haven't been doing a list, but I wanted to throw mine in tonight. I saw theirs, and mine's going to be a little bit different. So I wanted to throw my 2 cents in on this, on the fans. But I'm going to let the guys that know it go first. So who wants the honors?
You know what? My parents told me always to make sure that your guests that you invite into your home always have the first chance to eat first. So just like I was raised, Marvin, I was raised right. Marvin, you have the floor because at one point, if you did not get hurt, you might have cracked this list for me.
There's no might in it. It would have happened. Let's just call it what it is.
Boy, okay. Well, I'm gonna let you go to yours. How you gonna attack? You gonna go from 5 to 4? I mean, 5 to 1.
I'm gonna start off by saying that this was definitely probably for me. This would be the most difficult position group to do this list on because of you're talking about some dudes, man.
Legendary.
You're talking about some dudes. And I mean, I'm going to start from 1 because we all know who 1 is. That's a hands down. That is a given. We know that's the one and only DT, Derek Thomas. How can you put anyone else in that position? My freshman year, he came and spoke to us, man. When he walked into the room, he commanded more respect than Dubos. It's like, that's DT. Everybody, hey, man, listen.
Sit up straight, BB house.
When I tell you, hands down, the greatest to ever do it in college or NFL. What was it? 5 sacks in 1 game NFL?
7 twice.
7 twice. My apologies. Like, come on. Some people only have 7 in the season.
And he missed 8. He missed Dave Craig 8 because he played against the Seattle Seahawks.
Man, listen, the greatest to ever do it. I don't care who they line up out there. And when you look at the likes of Myles Garrett and all these other dudes, all these physical attributes, DT wasn't built like them dudes, but he just had that ooh-wee, and you was not going to block him. I don't think we'll ever see anybody do it at that level again. Now, when we bring in number 2, for me, number 2, it was a close between 2 and 3, but you got to get 2 to Bennett all day long, man. That dude was a monster. Cornelius Bennett was a monster. He is the last person you wanted to have a clean shot coming off the edge hitting you, okay? Because he was going, you know what they call now targeting? Every time he hit somebody, it was damn near targeting. He's laying out. He wasn't finna,
yes, our line, he took his soul.
That's what I'm telling you. He wasn't finna just run up there and wrap you and roll all that. No. He laying out. He is running to him and through him. I mean, full lay out. Now, 2 and 3, you know, it was close. You got to give 3 to Will Anderson. The young man did nothing but wreck and cause havoc from the time he stepped on the field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. You look at what he's doing in the NFL now. He's still doing work. When I tell you, it was close between 2 and 3, but, you know, everybody probably has those same 3. Now, 4 and 5, that's where it gets tricky. Because when you start looking at 4, there's so many names you could call. Oh, my God, there's a plethora. There is a long list of names. But I had to give 4 to this one individual in particular because of the adversity that he overcame and to still come back and perform at a high level and have the ability to play inside and outside linebacker, run the defense, and make sacks with all the checks and adjustments. Dante Hightower. How could you not give it to such a versatile dude on the field? And he was physical. Dante Hightower laid the law down. Listen, man, again, he was one of the most versatile linebackers to play at Alabama. Not many people could play inside and outside at the level that he played it at. That dude was awesome, and you can't take that from him. Now, number 5, a lot of great guys are going to get left out, but for me, there's only one true number 5. This dude was physical, he was nasty, and his football IQ is what, for me, separated him from anybody else at this number 5 spot. I got to give it to C.J. Mosley. Got to. That football IQ alone that guy has, man, he has one of the best football IQs I've seen in the middle linebacker. The dude is very intelligent, man. So the way he processes information on the field, and he still plays at a high level, hey, listen, man, I had to give 5 to CJ. Now, there's no knock on Rolando McClain. There's no knock on Reuben Foster.
Man,
no
stop apologizing for your list, man.
Yeah, you're gonna inevitably leave some straight up studs off this thing.
Yeah,
legend.
List.
But to me, that's my top 5 linebackers.
I like it.
That's a good. Hey, Mo, you can't go wrong with that list.
Yeah.
B. Russell said, excellent list, Marvin. So I guess he agreed with you. Petty, go ahead and knock yours out, man. I know you've been copying.
I'll give mine. All right. Number 1, look, we don't have to go any further. He's the greatest linebacker to ever play football, not just play at Alabama. Derek Thomas, ask John Elway who the best linebacker to ever play the game was. He'll tell you. Number 2, the picture I saw my whole life wasn't Derek Thomas taking somebody's soul. It was Biscuit. It was killing Steve Berline, and that wasn't the only time he did that. That's what he did all the way up through his time through Buffalo. Got to give it to him. Next, I can't believe this was left off Marvin's list. I mean, this was the OG next to Bobby Humphrey, the first guy that said, this guy's different. This is why Alabama's different. Keith McCants was a freaking machine. Number 3, if you look up tackling machine on the Google right now, this man's picture will come up. He's currently coaching in NFL, Houston Texans. I checked his records. The ticker quit. The ticker ran out on how many tackles he made. I think it was 7,000 at Alabama, and that's DeMeco Ryans. He tackled every damn thing that ran across the field. And number 5, near and dear to the heart. And look, I give Marvin this. Marvin probably would have been on my list. Marvin, I'm going to tell you this right now, man. Growing up in the 90s, linebackers were the gladiators of college football, and they had this look. You had the neck roll. You had the linebacker face mask with the horseshoe. You were 6'4", 250. You looked like a tank. Marvin, you were that guy, man. You were the prototype. But I got to give it to my guy, University of South Panola. Dwayne Rudd was the damn man at Alabama. Everybody forgets on Dwayne. I mean, we forget about him because all the other freaks. Dwayne was a freak before. He was that prototype linebacker that had the size, the speed, did it all. So that's my list. I'm not going to give it as good behind as those guys, so I'm going to go quicker than them, but that's it.
All good. So I'm going to start mine off, and it's somewhat similar to both you guys' lists because I think 1 through 3 is most of the time going to be universal. For 1, for me, is BB, Derek Thomas. I'm a huge Kansas City fan. I don't think everybody knows that. The only reason why I'm a Kansas City is Derek Thomas. And when you look at Derek's career from college even to the NFL, there's only one other outside linebacker that comes close to him. And going back and doing some more research and some studies, like we all need to sit back and rethink this LT versus Derek Thomas conversation. You ask John Elway, running around, who does he not want to see coming? And let's get away from what our uncles told us back and just watch the tape and just pull it up. Derek Thomas versus LT. Number 2 to me, my Bills Mafia brother, Cornelius Biscuit Bennett. Can do it in terms of an edge linebacker, like you said, Marvin. Like I got Hightower can do it off the ball as well too, as finding the ball, seeing it, destroying it, knocking it down. But also very, very good athlete in the coverage game versus tight ends and running back. Biscuit should be in the Hall of Fame, but that's another day, another topic. 3 for me, he's one of those poster childs of if he would have just stayed on the right track, he probably could have had a Hall of Fame career. Keith McCants. And you talk about edge pressure, speed to power, dominance. He was the 4th pick overall in the 1990 draft for a reason because he could flat out do it. Mobile, Murphy's own. Number 4 for me, this is probably the most instinctive linebacker I've ever done in terms of evaluating a guy from college to the NFL. Size, speed, and he wasn't that fast in terms of 40 time, but he got there so fast that you thought that he ran a 4.2. Rolando McClain. Size, coverage ability, knock you out, being able to set the tone for your defense. I don't know if Bama's ever had an off-the-ball linebacker that was like that in terms of being able to function and own that defensive group that Nick Saban had, and even just run Nick's defense in the manner, the high tone that he did. Now, the 5th guy for me, probably the most consistent player for Nick Saban since he's been there. He did everything the right way for you. That's Will Anderson. Pass rush, leadership. I remember I was talking to Ashley Kimmel, Marvin, on Monday after, I forget what game they lost. It was a big time game they lost. And she said, man, this dude is running around the field again. They got to go get him. It was daggone Will Anderson outside training by himself on an off day. So when you see guys like that show up and perform at a high level, there's a reason, because their work ethic and their motor just doesn't stop running. And he's doing the same thing in the NFL. That's my list, Marvin. I ain't going to sit here and argue it. There's only a couple guys that's going to come on. My phone's blowing up right now.
Ragland, now.
I mean, Reggie Ragland, Foster, Ralph Staten, Derek Odom,
Salim Rashid, Miko should be on me too, bro. But
D'Amico Ryans. How did y'all both leave D'Amico off?
How did y'all have McClain
on my list? Look who on my list.
My problem with Will Anderson, though, he was kind of hybrid in college and played defensive end more than outside. I know. Did he not? Wasn't he more an
Same thing that Derek Thomas and Keith McCamp did. We had him on the list.
Listen, man, how do you leave Dante Hightower and C.J. Mosley off your list, man? I'm sorry.
Because McClain was better than him.
Well, here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say on Rolando. The reason why I would take Dante over Rolando would be the versatility. The fact that Dante can play outside and, like you say, off the ball. Mm-hmm. Dante can do it all. And he can still run that defense.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. What more do you want in a guy who plays at a high level?
The instincts of Orlando McClain.
Dante
I'm telling you, the ball was snapped, the running back got him, and he was in the backfield. I have not seen a linebacker with instincts like that. And the linebacker position, sometimes it's not who has the best traits in terms of being able to run and lift and all that other stuff. It's who can dissect, diagnose, and get to the ball carrier before the blocker gets to him in the play.
Tough as nails, you funny.
Oh, that's awesome.
So let me. Why does everybody knock my man Henry so much?
Well, the best thing for Henry was moving to the outside. Where he's at with the Texans, because the middle just wasn't quite. He didn't perform as well in the middle as he does on the outside. So he just played out of position in Alabama. And that's what I was always saying. He just was not that. Middle linebacker is not for everybody.
No, you can't have good common sense.
but it's not for everybody though. You got to be a different type of personality. You have a different
Henry wasn't
every play you have to run in there and drop somebody damn near. That ain't for everybody.
Yeah, we can't crush Henry, and he's a starting linebacker on a top 5 defense in the NFL.
Well, that's why I said
D'Amico Ryans.
Well, that's why I said outside. That's where he was better suited outside. I said that the entire time he was at Alabama.
Yeah, he's a 3-4 Sam linebacker that gets covered up. Right? That's fine. He plays behind the 3 technique. He's good. Yeah. Uncut Marvin, if you're in a 3-4 defense and you play Mike backer, those 2 30 backers, you have to be able to say, I'm going to take on a guard 85% of the time, and I'm going to win this, because if you don't play with a heavy 4 right there, it's a free shot on you every single time.
Like I just said, playing middle linebacker, pretty much you got to be ready to drop somebody in the middle every play. If you ain't ready to drop somebody every play, you might want to get out of that.
Yeah.
So, but both of you all had solid lists, man, and
solid.
You had solid lists. They were good.
My list was the best.
Deficient, but good. Listen, here's the thing about.
I just feel like it's sad that the guy that didn't play for Bama had the best list, but I mean, it's cool.
The guy in the coral shirt.
University of South Florida represent, as Smoke's always representing all these other schools. I figured I'd represent South Florida tonight.
No doubt about it.
That's where my tuition's going. My money to tuition is going right now.
Well, you get to wear a T-shirt at least. You're giving so much.
Yeah, you get a free T-shirt out of the deal. Hey, here's my.
But all 3 were solid lists. But looking back at it, you couldn't go wrong with any of those guys that either of us have. Because again, all of them are all-world athletes who played the position at a very high level. So you can't take anything from them. And there's probably another 5 to 7 guys that you could easily swap in or out for anybody in that last 4th and 5th spot. Now 1, 2, 3 is pretty much that's hard.
Because none of us had Rag on our list, right? Reuben Foster on the list.
He's one of the biggest freaks to ever step out there.
Right? Nobody like Ralph Staten. Ralph was a problem.
Ralph was a problem. I think I played with one of the better ones. Salim Rashid was a problem, Marvin. Started
a lot of guys.
Freshman. Derek Pope.
Aries Monroe was one of the scariest people I've ever met.
The best thing that ever happened to Aries Monroe was Lance Thompson putting him at the 3 techniques so he can stop getting beat on daggone bootlegs every time. You put a bootleg out there, Aries still running for the daggone quarterback. He gone.
But yeah, man, I think you made a great point, though, and that's what people are talking about. This could be a top 15 list, but that's why I like making it 5. We did 10, and nobody got really their feels hurt. When we did 5, feelings started getting hurt when you leave a Teague. You leave Rag, because, again, you're leaving off all-American NFL superstars off this list. It's not just dudes. It's dudes.
Right.
I can't believe neither one of you even considered C.J. Mosley. Come on, man.
I did. I considered a bunch of dudes.
I didn't. My list is my list.
It was 5 and nobody else.
Yeah, Ryan Anderson. Like Tim Williams was a problem.
Yeah, Courtney Upshaw.
Tim Williams, man. We didn't even mention Tim Williams. Courtney Upshaw. Why did that just now get mentioned? Courtney Upshaw should have been.
I mean, because I thought about Courtney, but again, that list is there's only so many that you can take, man.
Yeah, you're right. If you had one to replace, if I gave you a mulligan for one, I'm gonna start with you, Marvin. If I gave you a mulligan to choose one off the list and put one on, who would it be?
I would probably take your number 2 pick or your number 3, Keith McCants. Whoever you had, Keith was a problem. Keith was damn good. It's just other issues in Keith's life, but Keith amazing on the field. I mean, you can't take that from him.
Pettey, who?
I think mine would be the obvious. I'd have to switch Rudd and Will Anderson.
And I think the only one that I would put on there, Reggie Ragland was a problem at Bama, bro. Rag's a problem. And I ain't just doing it because he's blowing me up right now, but
is Reggie blowing you up now?
He still ain't making it. He said whenever we have a recap show like we did for T, he needs to come and be able to air out his differences.
Well,
air his grievances.
But the thing about it, Rag damn good. But then you also got to look like somebody just, talk about Reuben Foster. How can you, I mean, you talking about prototypical middle linebacker who instilled fear in offenses. Now, he might have missed a few things along the way, but when you talking about straight fear factor and being a dude that made people not want to run across the middle of the field,
Reuben
that's what you want a middle linebacker to do.
In my time watching Alabama football, Reuben Foster's the scariest bastard I've seen on the football field.
When
he blew up Leonard Fournette's ass like he was my size.
Listen, man.
Reuben was one of them guys that you had to protect him against himself.
Listen, hold on, Pettey. You talking about Leonard Fournette? I'm gonna go back to what was it, his freshman or sophomore year when he ran down on that kickoff.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that hit he put up? I can't remember who was. It
was it against USC? Is that about USC game?
I thought it was Arkansas or somebody, but he's running down on the kickoff. Oh my God! You talking about prototypical targeting call today? Wow, he'd have been suspended for 5 games.
You remember what he did to Deshaun Watson?
Oh, the helicopter. Dude, that's why I say it's so many people that could have been here. So it's hard to say, boom. Like, it hurt my soul not to be able to take D'Amico. But when you start looking at some of these other dudes and just
Miko and Rag, man, they right there on the cusp.
They're still tallying Miko's tackles at Alabama.
But
he never said a word. All he said was yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And but the problem is with this list, pretty much 1, 2, and 3 are locked.
Yeah.
So you're only
1, 2, 3 locked. Yeah.
So you're only leaving 4 and 5 up for debate. So now you got to have all these dudes compete for 2 spots.
We almost should have done this, and I hate now that you say that, Marvin, because Bennett and DT are such locks. It was almost too easy. We should have like X'd them off and just said, hey, here's the given, and did a top 5, not Derek Thomas and
But
Bennett.
that takes the fun out of it. Make everybody else compete for them last 2 spots.
Yeah.
Football is competition.
Yeah,
They compete.
See, Pettey, you doing that Mississippi math again, man.
Right.
Listen, 3 plus 2 equals 5. 5 plus 2 equals 7.
But if you take away 3, then it's 1.
Whatever way you just said, I disagree. Keep going.
But then too, here's the thing about it, though. This is what a lot of people understand. When you're judging linebackers, there's so many different metrics you can choose to say, hey, this is how I'm creating my list. It could be based upon, their football IQ. It could be based upon their physicality. It could be based upon just how they commanded the defense, because not everybody's going to show, the greatest numbers physical-wise, but they can go out there and play the damn game. Look at Rolando McClain. Like you said, Smoke, he wasn't going to give you a lot of physical play. He wasn't going to be out there dropping people with the head, but he made the tackles. He made plays, solid plays. So there's so many different metrics that you can grade these dudes on, and depending upon what metric you choose, that list is always going to be different. Right. So to put all the metrics together and just say, hey, who's the best? That's hard one, man.
It's tough, but somebody had to do it. Pettey, you said you had some questions, bro.
Yeah, we had a few that. Yeah, let's hit them before Marvin gets out of here. Ooh, good one. Oh, you got them? Audience question. Justin, I forget, man. I'm used to doing it. You've got it, buddy. Tough as nails. One of our favorite around here. Loves to give Smoke all kind of shit. What rule change or penalty would you like to see made? Targeting ?
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and help you out for the targeting. I think you should get 2 targeted fouls a game. On your second one, that's when you get put out. But I think it's tough to get put out on one and get suspended for half of the next game.
Me personally, I'm not a fan of the whole targeting call, but I understand player safety. You got to protect these kids against themselves. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Smoke. Shouldn't be one and done. Because again, we are talking about kids here. So, I think this is one of those things where they should go back towards the NFL model and the way the NFL does it. It has to go to New York before they even eject the guy. It has to be like something like extremely egregious. And, New York got to call, he went, you got to let him go sit down. But I think they have to revisit that, because when you look at college football, if you take certain players off the field on a defense for targeting, you might have just derailed the entire season. Mm-hmm. You might have just cost them the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You might have just cost them a trip to the conference championship game. So, with stakes being so high in college, I definitely think they should go start, looking at that NFL model when it comes to targeting.
Well, there needs to be a hand raise guy. Like when you suspend a kid that gets targeting in the second half for a game the next week, that to me, that's dumb as shit. And then you'll have one do it at the end of the season, and a kid suspended for the first half of a game the next year. That's just kind of ludicrous. I'm with you guys on this. Not as much a rule change or penalty. In the 90s, I was watching a tennis match, and a ball went out of bounds, and they showed a replay of where the ball hit immediately. So you're telling me 2024, the year of our Lord, we can't put some sensor on the damn goal line that as soon as the ball goes across it, we know? We don't have to have 27 replays from different angles to know if a guy scored, when in 1995 we knew if a tennis ball was out a second after it happened? Okay,
they're getting there, Pettey, but you also got to remember now, when people make rules, there's the smart guys out there that put maybe something in a sock or something to trigger off that daggone thing. So you gotta remember, old Belichick is always around. Keep going.
There's always a Belichick out there. All right. What's the next one, Justin? Going tough. Ephraim, question, Smoke. What should players be focused on after spring ball going into fall camp? Marvin, you weren't with us when this got asked, so I'll throw you in. I'll let y'all two answer this.
It's summer vacation, beach time.
Show them guns on the beach, Marvin.
So I'm big on this. So after spring, majority, if not all coaches in college football always give you your spring evaluation. And whenever you get your spring evaluation, you always want to ask, what are 2 to 3 things that I need to work on if you're not a starter in order to move up in the depth chart, and if you're a starter to get you to the next level, becoming a dominant and impactful starter. So whatever those are, that your deficiencies from the spring, you work on that. If that's his playbook, get more into the playbook. If that's something to do with your height, with your strength, get with that. Tackling or whatever it is, you work on those. Because that's what I would do for fall ball.
Well, you know what I always like to do? I always like to go study offenses. That's what I like to do when spring was over. Look at, the teams that we were playing, pick up some of their playbooks. I mean, look up what they were running offensively to understand, because I always like to run concepts through my mind and think like, so if I get this, then I do this. I always like to play the game mentally. And summertime is one of the best times to play the game mentally because you're not doing much of anything and you have the time to truly dissect film and tape. And I would always take the tapes home, man, and they would always ask me if you're going to bring them back because they would always need them to record over. I'm like, nah, I'm keeping these because I need them. Because, again, when I had that free time, I would watch because that's what Rousey made me do. Y'all don't understand how much film Jeff Rousey made me
I know.
watch.
The VHS. I used to see you with them daggone VHSs.
So when you watch and you watch and you watch and just replay it through your mind. So by the time you get to camp, you're 5 steps ahead. And once you get to game plan in the week of the game, you've read it through your head so many times during the summer. It's like a natural reaction at that point.
Great answers. Great answers. I always refer to the football Bible at these points, the movie, the program. If you're not a starter, take the Latimer approach, do a lot of steroids, get bigger, kick some ass, listen to Welcome to the Jungle. Great answers, guys. Steroids. If you're on second string, steroids. It's your only answer. Come on.
Title.
Right.
That's wrong. Great question. What's our next one, Justin? Oh, that was a good answer. Tough as nails. Why do the combine when you can do your team pro day? Great question.
Yeah. So here's my thing for the combine. It's always, what do you want to take off your checklist? So case in point, if I am, say, my guy Travis Hunter, I'm going to do every testing drill at the combine just so I don't have to do that at my pro day. So I would go out there, I would do my 40 fast, and I'm always going to say, fast guys run. Strong people lift. If there's a combine right now and there's a 225 out there, my guy Marvin Constant is the first one on there. He ain't running from that.
Nope.
If there's anything to do with spill, explosiveness, and agility, I'm doing it because I'm an explosive, fast guy. So do all of the testing at the combine. And now when you get to your pro day, now you can become more specific towards doing just field work because he's going to have to do drills in terms of the DB and the receiver. You're just creating double work for yourself. Or if you feel that good about yourself, knock it all out of the combine. So when you get to your pro day, you just look at all the teams and say, I'm not doing anything except personal workouts. And that's not at this time. And you walk away.
Great answer. Good stuff. We got, what you say, 2 more, Justin? And Smoke, what is your opinion? What do you think of Tyler Booker's performance at the combine? Again, Marvin, you can chime in on.
Yeah, so Tyler Booker is never going to test well because he's not a supreme or an elite athlete. He's a very, very good football player. And most of the time, there are some football players that just don't test well. But when you cut on the film, you see that's where he separates himself. He's a big, physical guy that can take another human being and move them. And he also alluded to this, of being able so physically dominant that he imposes his will on his opponent and takes their soul and their love for the game. His mindset is different. He's not going to run a good 40. He's not going to be the quickest guy. But in a phone booth, mano a mano, yeah, I'm taking him. And it's a guy that you can take in the first round. He's clean. Put him in there for 10 years and don't even have to worry about him.
Smoke, i.e. Andre Smith. Worst body I've ever seen. He wasn't going to test well, but when you put him on the field, did work. Number 3 overall pick.
Smitty.
Listen, I'll tell you something. Some people don't understand what's called grown man strength, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's a real thing. Some dudes, you put them in the weight room, they ain't going to really do much of nothing. But they put their hands on you, you going to know it. Like, man, if you don't get your damn hands off me, listen, man. It's a real thing.
I'm going to say this. One of my quick evaluations of anybody that plays in the trenches, that means offensive, defensive line, or linebacker, whenever I see their face in a helmet, if their face is coming out of the helmet, yeah, those are the ones that I want. And,
Look
and
like they're
Tyler
chewing on the
Boyd's face
balls.
oozes out of his face mask every single time because he puts it on people.
Guys, good stuff. Excellent show tonight. I want to give a special thank you to our man Marvin for coming on, talking Alabama linebackers. And I, again, want to reemphasize, look, you might not have been on that list, Marvin, but you were one of the greats that played for this team as well, brother.
Thank you.
We loved you. You were a beast on that field. But more importantly, man, we thank you for coming by tonight. I know you'll be back on the show tomorrow. I'm going to let y'all tell folks where to find y'all. I think I might be moonlighting because Tornado.
Whoa. Time out. Now, let me pub this right now. Tomorrow on the Bama Standard, we have Marquise Mays. Now, if you don't follow this dude on Twitter, if you don't see his rants and how he be talking on Twitter, now
He works for you.
Now you imagine when you put him on with me tomorrow, what's about to happen? It's gonna be all bad tomorrow. Listen, tomorrow might be the most entertaining show of 25. And I'm telling you, listen, you finish tomorrow. It's
Gloves
about
off.
to be amazing.
Gloves off.
And Marvin saying that on the heels of Terrence Cody telling his story about stealing a box of chips on his day off. So
It wasn't really stealing, Pettey. It's borrowing and getting back later on. It's an investment that you're making. He's only making an investment.
That was a return on his investment for all his hard work, Pettey. Don't do that.
I don't think we could have a better PSA for tomorrow. I might even be back on the show with you guys tomorrow night. I know weather's getting crazy in Mississippi, Justin his ass. So I may be showing up, but I'll be there just with my popcorn watching the show again.
Tomorrow gonna be all gas, no brakes, baby.
Love it. With that, I think my guys have been getting blown up since this show started. So we will probably have another response video to the top 5 linebackers of all time coming up. So stay tuned for that. We may have Reggie and some of the guys pop in to give their take like our man Teague and Roman did. So stay tuned for that as well. But anywhere else, Smoke, where can we find you, brother?
Coach GV Dixon on X. Like, subscribe, everything that I'm involved with, because I don't bring nothing but that straight smoke.
Where you get that Mr. Rogers sweater from? That's I see you.
I'm glad.
Hey, like I told you, Mo, you have never gotten a compliment for the way that you put your threads together. You were just a straight. What do you wear? You still wear silver tab jeans and black shirts that you get out of the pack at Walmart? Listen, bro.
You done yet?
No, I'm not done because I ain't even started. When it comes down to listen, you're a good-looking dude and you got a model body and all that, but when it comes down to these threads, you can't get with me, man. You know that.
Pettey, eating like he got a USA Today in his lap and a cappuccino on the nightstand.
And his pipe with his flavored tobacco.
And there you go, Pettey, jumping on. Pile on.
Well, that's only because I catch so much grief here. It's nice to have Marvin giving it back to you.
Give me some help. Come on. You're just like most centers. All you guys do is throw the ball between your legs and beg for help.
I'm just a trash can on this thing, handing it off. Just glad to have some help this time from a linebacker.
Help. Come this way. Push.
Well, fans, if you don't know what's coming tomorrow, this is it with Marquise Mays added on. So, guys, I don't think anything else needs to be said. Come, if you're over on Twitter, come over, hit that like and subscribe so you can get all of your great Alabama content coming to you from the Bama Standard. Again, coming back at you tomorrow night with my man Marvin Smoke, Marquise Mays. Hopefully Justin, who might be dodging tornadoes in Mississippi, will be on running the 1s and 2s. But if not, we'll all be here. Again, hit that like and subscribe. Marvin, thank you again. Look forward to doing the response video. Look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow and look forward to more Alabama. Roll Tide, guys.
Roll Tide.